And it's happening in the morning time. It is 8:10 in Jackson, Tennessee, 9:10 in New York, and like I said, it's in the afternoon. It's 2:10 over in London already, and it's 11 o'clock going to midnight in Tokyo, Japan. They're almost into Tuesday already, and we're glad to have you in with us all over the world. This is Blue Suede Forever from the home of the Americana Triangle. From New Orleans to Muscle Shoals to Memphis to Nashville to Bristol, all the pop music of the world originated right here, and we're right in the heart of that. And the crossroads of America, east and west on Interstate 40, north and south on 45. When you're in Tennessee, you be sure to stop by and see us. We're doing the show every day, Monday through Friday from 6 till 9. And you can come by and see us right off Exit 80 inside the Dixie Cafe in the Old Country Store. And right now we got that Farmer's Perk coffee and an outstanding young entrepreneur that's 19 years old that owns this company. And so you come by and see us. Make this the morning place to be in your life and enjoy us. We get a different way to wake up in the morning. We're trying to make you feel good. Now, I'm suspicious about that now because I got two guys here in the studio with me. But not in the studio, right here on our stage set. Norwood Jones and Lawrence Taylor. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. I've just been trying to wake Lawrence up all the way in here.
There we go.
He's funny. I think he's awake.
Now these guys worked the Old Country Store, Casey Jones Village, for decades. In fact, you were there in the beginning.
We were involved with it for about 47 years.
47 years.
In the beginning, Joyce, my wife, and I opened the store up for Brooks Shaw and Reggie Smith.
Right.
They were the originators of the idea, and we started off in 1965. That was the time when you could buy Coca-Cola for a nickel.
All right.
You could buy a candy bar for a nickel. Right. You could buy an ice cream cone for a nickel.
Right.
Everywhere else in town.
That was the good news. The bad news, you worked at the factory, made $35 a week.
That's right. Hey, the goal back in those days was $100 a month.
$100 a month. You get $100 a month.
$100 a day. I should say that.
Yeah.
But you know how many dips of ice cream you got to dip at a dime a piece?
It was a little better. But income was about $5,000 or $6,000 a year in those days, right? I mean,
so that was big income back in those days.
David Evans, interviewed him the other day, and he did this blues song. David Evans retired from the University of Memphis after 38 years, and he's been a Southern folklorist and all this stuff. And he did this song about a guy that was down to his last dime, and he bought the morning news and a cigar. I said, man, a dime would go. So get the morning news, some coffee, and a cigar for a dime. And you're making that song went back like in the 1920s or something. But I thought it was pretty good. Hey, talking about making your dollar go a long way. Marilyn Jackson's Gifts. Shopping is more. Well, it becomes fun. Gift giving is a challenge because you get an invitation or something. It's like, well, what do I get them? They got everything already. What am I going to do? Or don't know them that well. What can I get? Or I know them too well. And Marilyn Jackson's Gifts is the perfect place there at 405 Van Drive in Jackson. And because they can personalize, they can engrave whatever they got in that store. They imprint napkins for the special touch occasions or just for your own home or whatever. But they've got just all kinds of items in every price range. So it's a way to take that pressure off, and they do registration for brides and babies and everything else. But Marilyn Jackson's Gifts involved with us here at Blue Suede Forever. So when you're looking for that gift, that is the perfect place. Now, it started out with Brooks Shaw had collected things.
A collection of over the years. Brooks had a severe heart attacks back in his early 30s, and again had 3 actually before we opened the store. And he had gone to his doctors, and his doctors couldn't seem to do anything for him. And he accepted the settlement and said, Brooks, what you got to do, you got to get you a hobby of some sort in order to kind of break the tension of running this big Kelly Foods Corporation.
He's running Kelly Foods now. What's cooking at the Kelly?
So a couple of his friends came up with a coffee grinder, a apple peeler, and an old cash register that was used in the old country stores of the turn of the century. And from that point on, he began collecting those items, and in 4 years, he had a second floor of Kelly Foods full of antiques and stuff that he'd. But nobody got to see him except personal friends that he'd go up.
So he owned the old control, which is right across the street there on the Airways.
Right across the street.
Did y'all build that building there? Or was it already there?
We covered it with cypress.
Cypress. So it made it look
old. The building was already there.
So what had been in there?
Murphy Tractor.
Okay.
They were in there, and I moved across the street.
Then moved across the street there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had we actually. That building is Old Country Auto's right
Right there now. Yeah, Bobby Green's
and it
been there
still
for years.
has the same
Same
siding,
siding
on
that
that we put in
put
there
in there.
50 years ago.
Because at one time y'all had a stage out there. Y'all did concerts and all that stuff.
Yeah,
and y'all
we
started.
did. We
The
had
idea
some
was it was going to be a
interesting
museum, and then it's like only after you've seen it once, you need to sell food or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, this Old Country Store has been a wonderful
Wonderful
life
thing.
for me, and
Okay.
I've enjoyed it. And
Okay.
it's been a.
Now, when did
been-
y'all move it out here?
We moved it out here in 77.
1978.
78 is when
78,
we moved out.
okay.
We had groundbreaking here at 75, 77.
Okay, and then moved out here in
Yeah.
78. Now, when did you go to work there, Lauren?
When I was in college, I went broke and I needed to eat, so Norwood let me dip ice cream.
Oh, is that right?
That was at the old store. But
At the old store.
well, we formed a new corporation in 1977.
77.
And I've gotten
And so-
involved in.
All right. So, how did y'all get the city to let you move the house out here? The Casey Jones house was
Well,
where.
it really wasn't easy.
Okay.
We made a deal with the city to
Right.
move it.
Because the house was a museum, but it was downtown.
it was a museum, but it
Yeah.
was downtown, and it was down.
How
kinda
long had it been?
underneath
Had it been a museum for a long time?
Well, it had been up
Okay.
until today.
All that story is told here, and we'll get Jimmy Butler on. Well, Lawrence knows that because he ran the museum for you.
Yeah.
So, Lawrence, when did they make it a museum?
1950. And it's been a museum for a long time. The problem, Steve, it was downtown, hidden by the bypass.
Right.
And if you really wanted to find it, you really couldn't
You
find
couldn't
it. 'Cause
find it.
You'd go past it.
Because it was on Chester or?
Yeah, 210 West Chester.
Chester, okay.
And what we did, we went to the city and said, look, we can move it out to
Right.
the interstate where
Okay.
the traffic is.
Right.
And then we can, you can make more money.
Money out.
Because the city
Because
still owns it.
still owned it and all this other stuff. Now, which sets up the
Well,
thing.
we.
What year did y'all move it?
Well, we moved it in 3 days, but we
Yeah.
moved it in 1980.
All right. How long did you think it was going to take you to move it?
It was 6 hours. It took 3 days.
It took 3 days to move that thing.
We're gonna
But
tell that story.
That's not the whole story.
All right. Well, hang on a
It
second.
took-
Just
it-
hang on this because I'm going to play the song and then we'll come back. And we're going to find out. All right. They're downtown. Oh, yeah. We got to talk about the Carl Perkins Museum, too. And Norwood Jones and Lawrence Taylor are here with us, a unique part of the Old Country Store. One great thing that we've got in Jackson, Tennessee, we got a multiplicity of wonderful restaurants. One of those is the Asia Garden. Their Jackson's Reader's Choice Award both Chinese and Japanese menus last year, and they're after the same thing this year. Reader's Choice Awards are underway right now. Be sure to vote. Be sure to vote for us, right, Tim? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Get out there and say my favorite radio show is Blue Suede Forever. So get that taken care of. But 30 years, the Ye family. Over 30 years, they've been doing business right there at the Asia Garden and the Hamilton Hill Shopping Center. They open for lunch today at 11. They open every day for lunch. During the week, break out of that burger routine and enjoy something different. And what a diversified menu. Some restaurants have 5 or 6 appetizers. They got like 20 per menu or whatever. It's a great place. They cater, they deliver, they do all that. And it's 668-9038 or 668-9024, Eddie A. and all the folks at the Asia Garden in this city. We've got to find out how we move the Old Country Store. No, not the Old Country Store. How we moved the Casey Jones Museum, the house, from downtown to out here at the bypass. And it was supposed to take 6 hours and only took 3 days. We're at Blue Suede Forever. We're at the Dixie Cafe inside the Old Country Store, Casey Jones Village. Bill Canva's coming up with a weekend perspective on sports. What happened over the weekend that caught his eye? We're going to be talking to him over in the next half hour. Norwood Jones and Lawrence Taylor are with us. Also want to remind you about Steve and all the folks at Collision Specialist. They went into business in 1989 in automotive repair. There are already people in that business, but they went in and installed downdraft paint booths and all these things, the most sophisticated equipment of its day to eliminate dust and all that stuff in paint and everything else. And they have just continued to be ahead of the curve in investment in their people as far as training and the equipment, the latest in technology. And now with computerization and everything else, you can do so many more things than you could in the past. And they do it all right there. One of the most unpleasant experiences in this life is when you get your car banged up, damaged, whatever, car, truck, you don't know if it's ever going to be right again. Their alignment process can put it better than new. And they have expert folks to go to work on you and try to minimize the unpleasantness of that experience. At Collision Specialists, they're at 96 Fairway Boulevard here in Jackson, Tennessee, right off North Highland. And you can call them at 668-9263, 668-9263. iCar Gold status for their employees, Collision Specialists. You got choices. You make the right choice at Collision Specialists. They guarantee their auto body repair work as long as you own your car, truck. Norwood Jones and Lawrence Taylor with us. We're going to talk about Carl Perkins in a moment because they had a special relationship with him. There was a Carl Perkins Museum here at the Casey Jones Village at one time, and they were involved in that. I wanted to talk to you quickly about how you You went to the city and got them to agree to relocate this museum out here.
We did.
Okay, and then, which meant moving the house out here eventually.
In about a year and a half later, we moved the house
House
out
out,
here.
all right.
And
So y'all told the city it was going to take about 6 hours to do it.
that's what we told them, yeah.
They're going to move it down there from Westchester up the bypass and everything.
Right.
Could do it and to talk to the guy and everything else, and could do it in 6 hours.
Lawrence, tell them a little bit about that.
Okay.
Well, we had the JEA. I'll hold it. Thank you.
Yeah.
We had the JEA out there, so they
Yeah.
could cut off the. We went.
Which
went
at that
by-
time would have been JUD. Back in
JUD, right.
Yeah.
We in JUD, and they
Right.
were cutting off the electricity to the
Traffic license.
actually to the hospital.
Always to the
Yeah,
hospital.
To the hospital.
Oh, that's right,
So
because it was all interconnected in
went
those
over
days.
Hollywood there and went there, and so we had to make sure it cut off. So we were heading there, and when we got started, the guy that never moved a house before came to me.
What, did he
and-
give you a good price on it?
Well, yeah, it was a real good price. But we actually had about all the TV stations in Memphis, all the TV stations in Nashville, Tupelo, Paducah, Jackson. I mean, we had.
Okay,
we were
everybody's
big
here to
promotion.
see this. Okay.
And he comes to me, and Norwood and Clark up there talking to him, and he comes to me and said, "Mr. Taylor, can I borrow $20?" I said, "Why?" He said, "I'm in gas for my truck." I said, "What?" So he didn't have any gas in his truck. So I said, "Don't you dare let anybody say you put gas in the truck." Anyway, we got up, we started out, and we got hung up on mile marker 16 at the 45 bypass.
Bypass. Okay.
And then, so we missed our opportunity to get under. You had to go under. The JEA
okay.
had pushed everything,
Pushed everything up. Okay.
So we missed that opportunity. We had to
Okay.
stay all night. Called Harvey the next morning and said, "Hey, the Casey Jones Home and Railroad Museum is at mile marker 16 at the Highway 45."
And still there.
So what we did, we couldn't get under the lines, so we had to go down the ramp going into Hollywood Street.
Right. Okay.
And then spend the
And
night
go-
there. And spend the
So
night
there and go back up.
And then had to go back up. Had to spend the night
Wow.
there. So that's the 3
That's
days.
two days. So you're on to day
And the
3.
third day we got up and we finally made it. We had a huge crowd. People going, I don't believe they're ever going to get it.
So what did they do with the bypass then when you're out there on it? Here's Jimmy Bailey who's running his thing now, right?
Of the bypass, people were very upset at us because the house sat on the bypass for one
night. All of one night.
All one
So
night.
they just had to route people to the other side, or
Yeah, they were honking and saying things like Norwood didn't know what they were saying. I had to translate to it.
oh, me, and got the thing done. Okay, finally got it.
But
put
we
it done.
got it here, and it's been
Okay.
great for the city.
How did the Carl Perkins Museum come to be in the Casey Jones Village?
I was just talking to Nancy Jane and Bill Hall. They started the Casey Jones Museum, the Carl Perkins Museum in 1980. It was over in the Old Town store, and they had a Western store on the bottom, and upstairs they had the Casey Jones, the Carl Perkins Museum.
Okay.
And then they went on to do some other things, so we took it over, and we ran it. We had Carl Perkins' Coca-Cola bottle, had him down here to sign it. We made all the Carl Perkins souvenirs because, overseas Carl was really big. I mean, people come in from the UK and
Coca-Cola
Europe.
bottling company at that time, for people that don't know, bottled a special edition bottle with Carl Perkins on there, and you say that people would come in to buy that and would ask you to pose with it.
Yeah, well, Steve, Carl Perkins.
And it was a fundraiser for the Exchange Club, for Child Abuse Center.
Yeah, Child Abuse Museum. Pam Nash asked me to sell some at the museum. So I did,
Okay.
She had 4 or 5 cases left, and I just did it for her. We didn't
Right.
charge her anything. And people would come in and buy 2 or 3 of them and want me to hold the bottle. Because they said, "You're Carl Perkins' manager." Well, you're not a manager, but
Friend, we know each other.
The manager of the store, but it's not like a manager. I don't care. Just take a picture and I'd hold it up. So
Okay.
it did well. Carl was really, really, really popular overseas. He
Yeah.
really was.
I
And
mean,
popular here.
yeah.
He was a good guy.
But when people came, they would buy the Carl Perkins Coca-Cola and ask you to hold it,
Oh, I get a lot of pictures that way.
enhance the value of it.
And I charge him $5. But hey,
Oh, me.
One thing interesting about that,
Yeah.
we were out in California and went into an antique shop. There sit 3 of those bottles.
Is that
in
right?
an antique shop
So,
in California. They were trying to
That's
sell
a
them.
big thing to do then. All right. You said you worked Fanfare one time.
yeah,
You
well,
set up
we-
a
we
Carl
had
Perkins booth.
We set up a booth at Fanfare,
And just fanfare in Nashville, big deal. You know, back to Loretta Conway and all these people,
Right.
big stars, and then you had up and coming people.
Right, and it was called something else now, but it was fanfare.
Yeah.
And fanfare was real big. So the guy that sold Elvis souvenirs and stuff said we need to go up there. So
Okay.
Bill Taylor. So we went up. Kay Henson and I set up the booth, and on one side of the booth we had, it was a little 8x10 booth, was a guy with long hair. And I
Okay.
said, you know, this guy ain't gonna make it in country music. And on the other side was a girl named with a beautiful blonde.
Blonde, okay, kind
And
of
I
cute.
said, well, I don't know if she can sing, but she looks good.
She looks good, okay.
And then across was a little mother-daughter duo.
Duo, right.
But Conway, Twitty, and Loretta Lynn was the big.
With the big people, fan.
And the guy, you remember one of my favorites, "Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places."
Yeah, Johnny
But
Lee.
Johnny Lee, he was there too.
Oh, okay.
And so turned out the guy with the long hair was Travis Tritt. Lori Morgan was on
Was
this,
a cute blonde.
and the judge was across. If I'd known that, I'd been taking pictures.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and Norwood did take. Norwood went over there and killed the sales, but that's okay.
and Carl Perkins were with the judge. In fact, their last TV special, he was on that.
Right. Well,
over
she
there.
actually sang at his funeral. Also.
Yeah, and that's right.
And-
Well, yeah, that's been nearly 20 years.
Yeah, and Steve, I was telling you when we were off there, people don't realize, because we were in the tourist business, and
Right.
we'd get a lot of people going to Nashville and Memphis and going to see Elvis. They don't realize how important West Tennessee is, because we have rock and roll with Elvis.
Right.
We had rockabilly with
Right.
Carl. We had the blues.
Right.
We had the country music. I mean, people just don't realize this was a mecca, and it still is.
Still
it
is.
Still is a mecca for the music.
You see parts of that here, Delta Heritage Center in Brownsville.
Oh, yeah.
Now they've done. Sonya's done a great job. They got an event coming up. She's going to be with us later this week, I think.
It's amazing.
And it just is just great stuff out there. And that's one of the reasons we're doing this show. Yeah.
I want to say one thing, a little bit about my brother-in-law.
About Lawrence?
Yeah,
I ain't got a 7-second delay on
just
this
wanna
thing
tell
now.
you,
Let's be careful.
You can't hardly believe more than about 50% of what he says when he's in a conversation with you.
Well, because most of it's about you. You know,
Well,
what I've heard. You know.
I married his sister back
Okay.
65, a little over 65 years ago.
You're kidding.
And can you imagine
Having
me
him as a
having to
brother.
put up with him for
65
over 65 years?
No, well, how are you me to say no? Hey, my daddy said that my sister had a light stroke or a concussion the year they married. That's the only thing I know. My mother said that he was so skinny, he looked like a broomstick with a bow tie on. You know?
Okay, man, that's good stuff. That is good stuff, man.
Half of that was true.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see you guys. You doing well?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah, doing all right.
What age are you now? You're 70, 80.
I'm 39 plus 39 and
whatever.
and 8.
If you've been married 65 years, unless you got married at 3.
86 years old, and hey,
Yeah.
I'm not old.
Yeah,
I'm 86 years.
Just
I've
seasoned.
just been young for
Experienced.
a long time. That's
Experienced.
all there is.
There it is. There it is. Yeah.
I was young till I started carrying Norwood around.
That's good. Guys, I appreciate it very much.
There's one thing about him. He has really been since we've had our health problems.
Yeah.
He and my son have been
real
miracle guys to help us out.
Well, that's good.
We've had a great time together.
Yeah, man. It's good to see you both. I appreciate it so very, very much. And they got Carl Perkins memorabilia here and everything else. And Carl's museum stayed here how long then, Lauren?
Well, we moved it from the Old Town Western Store to the Casey Jones Museum in the yellow car at one time, and then it went to Tiptonville.
Okay.
After it was here about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Then it went to Tiptonville. Then it went down to the Civic Center.
Okay.
And now I saw this open downtown. That's
Downtown.
the way it should
Yeah,
be.
yeah. It's at the Carnegie Center for Arts and History, and it's the largest collection of Carl Perkins memorabilia in existence in one location. That museum is open in Jackson at the Carnegie. The Legends of Tennessee Music, and it's got stuff from Tina Turner and Denise LaSalle and Eddie Arnold, a bunch of people, Bill Boyd, and John Singleton and Jonathan Singleton and Little Boys Blue and just Lolo, Lauren Pritchard. A lot of people are featured in there, and Wes Henley and W.S. Holland, a bunch of them are featured in that thing. But it's open from 10 until 4, Tuesday through Saturday. At the Carnegie. I think admission's $5. And they had a big press conference last week, and thanks to Isaac Taggart, he got the Hard Rock Cafe organization to authorize an official Hard Rock Cafe Jackson shirt that sold there. $27 have to be sold at the same price, only through the museum, at the same price they sell, hard rock stuff all over the world.
We had some stuff that Isaac wanted for the Carl Perkins, and it was in the Hard Rock Cafe in New York.
New York,
for years
what
and
year?
years,
Okay, yeah. And so, I mean, it's just largest collection of rock and roll memorabilia in the world, Hard Rock Cafes, but that has been added. So you can go to the museum and get an official Hard Rock Cafe. Jackson, sure, then there was a Hard Rock Cafe.
There's the first one in the
Yeah,
world.
in
First one in the world.
in the United States, right there. And Isaac said that his mother called and said, "I want one of those cafes in my mall." He said, "If you knew Miss Francis,"
And they did it.
Yeah. said, "You better." Right, you better. It's good to see you guys.
Hey, great
Thanks,
to hear
thanks everything y'all have done for this city. Appreciate it so very much.
You got something really going
All right,
here
well,
that Jackson, Tennessee will really appreciate.
Well,
And thank you, my friend.
I thank you guys. I appreciate y'all so very much. Lawrence Taylor and Norwood Jones. Mill Canvas coming up. We're going to talk about sports, everything else as we move through this day. We're going to continue to do music. This is Blue Suede Forever live at the Dixie Cafe Old Country Store.
Forget him if he doesn't love